Hey there. So, something's been on my mind, and I thought I'd do a video on it in case someone else needs to hear this. And just as a heads up or trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about death. So if that freaks you out, you might want to move on. But I hope you don't, because I think this message is important. If you've ever had to make arrangements for someone who has passed, a parent, a sibling, some other relative or a friend, or make decisions for them when they're incapacitated, you know how stressful that could be. And forgive my hair, I was just taking it out. You know how stressful that could be. And I think it's important that we have the conversation with our family members and let them know what we want. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but I think it's important that they have it, because, if you didn't have that conversation and you had to make these decisions, think about how stressful that was for you. Well, I'll speak for myself. It was super stressful for me. I had to handle my mom's funeral arrangements, and then 2 years later, my brother's. My mom had cancer, and at one point she was not able to speak for herself. And I was looked at to make the decision for her whether to keep trying, keep doing things to keep her alive, or to just let her go. And we had gone to the hospital as an emergency, so all these doctors that were seeing her were not her regular doctors. And at one point they came out, and they came into the waiting room, and family members and my brothers and I were there, and they looked at me and they said, "Oh, she's tired. She's just really tired." And I'm like, "How do you know? You don't even know her. These aren't her regular doctors. They're just the doctors that are on duty during that time, and for them to come out and tell me that she's tired, not knowing her, I was floored. And also the fact that I had to make the decision. I was almost shocked to the point that I almost couldn't speak. And I remember saying out loud, well, Mom said that if she were ever to be in that situation, she wanted everything that could possibly be done for her. And luckily, I was still in a state of shock, but my brother looked at me and said, "Is that what she said?" I said, "Yeah, she said that." And he's like, "Well, what we waiting on? Let's go." And thank goodness he did that, because I was still just kind of reeling from, I'm making this decision for my mom, and they're telling me she's tired. And if I push it, am I wrong? Is she really tired? But thank goodness my brother I said out loud what happened, and my brother's like, "Let's go." So we did some things, and they brought her back. She was able to live another, I think, at least a month, maybe an additional 2 months after that. So it was surreal, but luckily my mom and I had the conversation, and the way it happened, I had tried to have a conversation with my family at one point where my mom had gotten sick. She had back surgery, and they put her in a rehabilitation center, which was really a nursing home. And just, as we set her up in the nursing home, you could feel the tension in the air. We were all kind of looking at each other like, we're putting our mom in a nursing home. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good, So she was only in there for like a couple of weeks until she was able to get around on her own. And when she came home, I tried to have the conversation with my brothers and her to say, hey, if something really happens to us, let's make sure we're all on the same page with what's going to happen. I don't want us to fight and fall apart. You know how some families fall apart when when someone passes, especially the person that keeps everybody together. And it was awkward, and they made fun of it. They clowned and laughed, and I got mad and just stormed off, and typical older kid stuff. I was just mad because I'm like, hey, I'm trying to handle something serious here, and you guys are clowning, so forget it. So years later, of course, Mom gets cancer, and incidentally, one of her sisters had passed. Her sister and a brother passed months before she was in maybe about a year before she passed. And we talked about what happened with my aunt, her sister, and she told me, if she were ever incapacitated, that's when she told me. She told me what she wanted. She told me where she wanted to be cremated and where she wanted to be buried, in the same cemetery as her sister. So luckily we had that conversation. That was when she was in the hospital, and I was just staying there with her. So luckily I knew that much, but it still was an uncomfortable position to be in. So I'm saying all that. Oh, and then, like I said, 2 years later, my brother had no idea what he wanted. I didn't know what he wanted. He had no insurance, so we were in a position where my younger brother and I had to figure out, how much money do we have? What can we do? So we, similar to my mom, we went through the same funeral home, and they worked with us, and we cremated him as well. However, he wasn't buried. His ashes were given to his daughters. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but that's what we did. So anyway, I had the conversation with my daughter and my son. I've told them what I wanted. I've told them if I'm incapacitated, what to do. They don't like to talk about it, but it's necessary. Now, the other thing I have to do is, I don't have a will. I need to put some things together so they know where to find everything. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I've been thinking of that. I just have, and I thought I'd share it with you, and hopefully you do have the conversation with your family, and you know what they want, they know what you want, and you've got your things in order, because none of us know. We're not going to be here forever, and we don't know when it's going to happen, and I would just hate to leave that burden on my children, and have them wondering for the rest of their lives, did I make the right choice? This is my mom. Did I make the right choice? Or they make a choice that I didn't want. I mean, if I'm dead, then, but as far as what to do if I'm incapacitated, I want them to know, so they don't have any heartburn, for lack of a better term, heartburn over a decision that they made. They know they made the decision that their mom told them that she wanted. So anyway, hope that wasn't too morbid for you, but hopefully, like I said, you have the conversation with your family, and that's taken care of, and you've taken a lot of stress away from a loved one, as well as yourself. As long as you have the conversation too, you may have to do this. Anyway, I hope it helps someone. Bye.